as he raised it. The assassin spared a glance for Dalinar's weapon, then smiled, lips drawn thin, showing only a hint of teeth. That eager smile matched with haunted eyes was one of the most evil things Dalinar had ever seen.
Thank you for extending my agony by not dying easily!
He stepped back and burst a fire with white light. He came at Dalinar again, inhumanly quick. Adolin shook out of his daze.
My head!
He'd smacked at something good when the assassin tossed him to the ground.
Father, hiding the assassin. Bless the man for listening to reason and bonding that madman's blade.
Adolin gritted his teeth and struggled to get to his feet, something that was difficult with a broken greave. Though the rain was letting up, the sky remained dark. To the west, lightning plunged downward like red waterfalls. At the same time, wind gusted from the east. Something was building out there, too, from the origin.
This is very bad. Those things Father said to me.
Adolin stumbled, almost falling to the ground, but hands appeared to assist him. He glanced to the side to find those two bridgemen from before, Scar and Drahi, helping him to his feet.
You two are getting a storming raise! Help me get this armor off!
He frantically began removing sections of armor. The entire suit was so battered it was nearly useless. If Dalinar could hold a little longer, Adolin would be able to help.
I will not let that creature get the better of me again. Not again!
He spared a glance for what Dalinar was doing and froze, hands on the straps for his breastplate.
He moves beautifully.
Dalinar did not fight for his life. His life hadn't been his own for years. He fought for Gavilar. He fought as he wished he had all those years ago, for the chance he had missed. In that moment, between storms, when the rain stilled and the winds drew in their breaths to blow, he danced with the Slayer of Kings and somehow held his own. The assassin moved like a shadow. His steps seemed too quick to be human. When he jumped, he soared into the air. He swung his shard blade like flashes of lightning and would occasionally stretch forward with his other hand as if to grab Dalinar. Recalling their previous encounter, Dalinar recognized that as the more dangerous of Szeth's weapons. Each time, Dalinar managed to bring his blade around and force the assassin away. The man attacked from different directions, but Dalinar didn't think. Thoughts could get jumbled, the mind disoriented. His instincts knew what to do. Duck when Szeth leaped over Dalinar's head, stepped backward, avoiding the strike that should have severed his spine. Lash out, forcing the assassin away. 3 quick steps backward, sword up, wardingly, strike for the assassin's palm as it tried to touch him. It worked. For this brief time, he fought this creature. Bridge 4 remained back as he'd commanded. They'd only have interfered. He survived, but he did not win. Finally, Dalinar twisted away from a strike but was unable to move quickly enough. The assassin rounded on him and thrust a fist into his side. Dalinar's ribs cracked. He stumbled, almost falling. He swung his blade toward Szeth, warding the man back, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. He sank to his knees, barely able to remain upright for the pain. In that instant, he knew a truth he should always have known.
If I'd been there on that night, awake instead of drunk and asleep, Gavilar would still have died. I couldn't have beaten this creature. I can't do it now, and I couldn't have done it then. I couldn't have saved him.
It brought peace, and Dalinar finally set down that boulder, the one he'd been carrying for over 6 years. The assassin stalked toward him, glowing with terrible stormlight, but a figure lunged for him from behind. Dalinar expected it to be Adolin, perhaps one of the bridgemen. Instead, it was Royan. Adolin tossed aside the last bit of armor and went running for his father. High Prince Royan, incongruously holding a side sword and leading a small force of soldiers, rushed the assassin.
Rats have a better chance fighting a chasm fiend.
The assassin, moving at blinding speed, spun and cut the blade from the hilt of Royan's sword. Szeth's hand shot out and slammed against Royan's chest. Royan shot into the air, trailing a wisp of stormlight. The sky swallowed him. He lasted longer than his men. The assassin swept between them, deftly avoiding spears, moving with uncanny grace. A dozen soldiers fell in an instant, eyes burning. Adolin jumped over one of the bodies as it collapsed. He thrust at the assassin, but the creature twisted and slapped the Shardblade away. The assassin was grinning. He didn't speak, though stormlight leaked between his teeth. Adolin tried smoke stance, attacking with a quick sequence of jabs. The assassin silently battered them away unfazed. Adolin focused, dueling the best he could, but he was a child before this thing. Royan plummeted from the sky and hit nearby. A quick glance at his corpse told Adolin that the High Prince would never rise again. Adolin lunged for the assassin, but a fluttering tarp, brushed by the assassin in passing, leaped toward Adolin.
He can command inanimate objects.
Adolin sliced through the tarp and then jumped forward to swing for the assassin. He found nothing to fight. He threw himself to the ground as something passed over his head, the assassin flying through the air. Szeth's Shardblade missed Adolin's head by inches. Adolin rolled and came to his knees.
How? What can he do? I can't beat it. Nothing can beat it.
The assassin landed lightly. Adolin climbed back to his feet and found himself in company. A dozen of the bridgemen formed up around him. Scar at their head looked to Adolin and nodded.
Good men.
They'd seen Royan's fall, and still they joined him. Adolin hefted his Shardblade and noticed that a short distance away, his father had managed to regain his feet. Another small group of bridgemen moved in and around him, and he allowed it. He and Adolin had dueled and lost. Their only chance now was a mad rush. Nearby, General Kahl and a large strike force of soldiers, judging by the banner, was approaching. There wasn't time. The assassin stood on the wet plateau between Dalinar's small troop and Adolin's head bowed. Fallen blue lanterns gave light. The sky had gone as black as night, except when broken by that red lightning.
Charge and mob a Shardbearer. Hope for a lucky blow.
It was the only way. Adolin nodded to Dalinar. His father nodded back, grim. He knew. He knew there was no beating this thing.
Lead them, Adolin. Unite them.
Adolin charged forward, sword out, men running with him. Dalinar advanced too, more slowly, one arm across his chest.
Storms, I can barely walk.
Szeth snapped his head up, face devoid of all emotion. As they arrived, he leaped, shooting into the air. Adolin's eyes followed him up.
Surely we haven't chased him off.
The assassin twisted in the air, then crashed back down to the ground, glowing like a comet. Adolin barely parried a blow from the blade. The force of it was incredible. It tossed him backward. The assassin spun, and a pair of bridgemen fell with burning eyes. Others lost spearheads as they tried to stab at him. The assassin ripped free from the press of bodies, trailing blood from a couple of wounds. Those wounds closed as Adolin watched, the blood stopping.
It is as Kaladin said.
With a horrible, sinking feeling, Adolin realized just how little a chance they'd ever had. The assassin dashed for Dalinar, who brought up the rear of the attack. The aging soldier raised his blade as if in respect, then thrust once, and attack. That was the way to go.
Father.
The assassin parried the thrust, then placed his hand against Dalinar's chest. The High Prince, suddenly glowing, lurched up into the dark sky. He didn't scream. The plateau fell silent. Some bridgemen propped up wounded fellows. Others turned toward the assassin, pulling into a spear formation, looking frantic. The assassin lowered his blade and started to walk away.
Bastard! Bastard!
Adolin could barely see for the tears. The assassin stopped, then leveled his weapon toward Adolin. Adolin stumbled to a halt.
It is finished. I am done.
He turned from Adolin and continued to walk away.
Like damnation itself you are!
Adolin raised his shard blade overhead. The assassin spun and slapped the weapon so hard with his own blade that Adolin distinctly heard something snap in his wrist. His blade tumbled from his fingers, vanishing. The assassin's hand slapped out, knuckles striking Adolin in the chest. Stunned, He sank to his knees.
I suppose I can kill one more on my own time.
Then he grinned, a terrible smile with teeth clenched, eyes wide, as if he were in enormous pain. Adolin awaited the blow. He looked toward the sky.
Father, I'm sorry.
He blinked as he made out something glowing in the air, drifting down like a leaf. A figure, a man.
Father!
The High Prince fell slowly, as if he were no more weighty than a cloud. White light streamed from his body in glowing wisps. Adolin blinked, certain he was delusional.
But no, that is Father.
Like one of the heralds themselves, coming down from the tranquiline halls. The assassin looked and stumbled back, mouth open in horror.
No! No!
And then, like a falling star, a blazing fireball of light and motion shot down in front of Dalinar. It crashed into the ground, sending out a ring of stormlight like white smoke. At the center, a figure in blue crouched with one hand on the stones, the other clutching a glowing shard blade. His eyes of fire with a light that somehow made the assassin seem dull by comparison. He wore the uniform of a bridgeman and bore the glyphs of slavery on his forehead. The expanding ring of smoky light faded, save for a large glyph, a sword-like shape, which remained for a brief moment before puffing away.
You sent him to the sky to die, assassin. But the sky and the winds are mine. I claim them, as I now claim your life.